see I've got a little bigger screen than what I usually have, and that's because we're going to need to use the graphing calculator here in just a minute. It says a student incorrectly solved the equation sine of theta equals negative 0.55 for 90. Basically what we're saying is that the angle measure has to be somewhere between 90 and 270. Let me show you that visually on the XY plane. 90 degrees is here, and then 270 ends right here. So it's got to be either somewhere in the second or third quadrant. Okay, our answer has to be somewhere in the second or third quadrant. Well, if we look here, our answer here, 146.6 degrees, that is in the second quadrant because it's less than 180, so it's got to be over here somewhere. But what's wrong with it then? Okay, well, the first thing I want us to think about is if it's negative 0.55, that means that we have the sine is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse, right? We've always said that the hypotenuse is never negative, so that means that this negative 55 is going to have to be the opposite, right? So we've got the opposite over the hypotenuse. I'm just writing it as a fraction, okay? And because the hypotenuse is positive, that's how I know I can set it up like this. So if I sketch this out, I know my hypotenuse is 100, and I know my opposite side is going to be negative 55. And remember, we're always building the angles off of the x-axis. So here's our x-axis. We're going to build the angle off of the x-axis. We know that our hypotenuse is 100, right? So this is 100. We know the hypotenuse is that. And then we are going to say that our opposite side is negative 55. Well, I can't draw it here because if I draw it here, that'll be a positive 100. So that's definitely not going to work. So let's try it off of the x-axis here. Well, look, people, if we draw it off of the x-axis here, do you see how when we're going down, that'll give us our negative 55, right? Okay, so now can you see that instead of it being in the second quadrant, it cannot be in the second quadrant. It's going to have to be somewhere right over here. So how far is it from here to here? The green arc is 180 degrees. So how far is it from here to here? Well, in order to find that, we're going to have to find the angle whose sine is negative 55 over 100. And that's the inverse sine function. Remember, inverse functions are basically asking us for an angle when we've been given the ratio of the sides. So what we're going to type in is the sine, inverse sine of negative 0.55, all right? So let's do that. So I'm going to go second inverse sine of negative 0.55, close up the parentheses, because that's 55 over 100, enter, and I've been given negative 33. So you understand that negative 33 doesn't, the negative part is not really very helpful, okay? The calculator is not smart enough to know which quadrant it's in. That's all there is to it. So we do know that it's 33.30, let's just round it to the 10th place, 33.4 degrees, okay? So we can say with confidence that this angle measure right here is 33.4 degrees. So how can I write the final answer? Well, it's 180 plus 33.4 degrees. So 180 plus 33.4 degrees is our answer, which should end up being, well, you figure it out. So what is the student's error? Right here. The student should add 33.4, so it ends up in the third quadrant because we've been told that it has to be either in the second or the third.